In Jacob's case, we'll see later that he had to limp. If you're limping, you're going to have to lean. And I feel like God was saying, you're no longer going to be able to support yourself in this new where I'm transitioning you into, right? Because he has been self-reliant before. Mm-hmm. He was deceitful. He was a trickster before, right? He was Jacob, right?
Yeah.
And I think that God was preparing him for this moment right here, like I mentioned before. But God was saying, no, now you're going to have to lean on me.
Yeah.
And not only that, he was going to have to get him to a place of weakness.
Yeah.
In our weakness is where we truly see the strength of God. And I feel like God was like, in order for me to really work my power through you, I have to get you to a place of weakness.
Yeah.
And just to back up your point about the breaking him, in order for me to get you from Jacob to Israel, I have to break you.
Hello. Welcome to episode 21 of the Carey Podcast. We are your hosts, Donovan Carey and my astounding wife.
Okay.
I'm going to keep them coming. Tiara Carey.
Hey, guys.
So today we are going through chapter 32 of Genesis.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I said already, but this is episode 21. So
yes.
we're making it there. We're making it there for sure.
We are. Yes, we are. If this is your first time here, we would love to welcome you guys. And if you're returning, welcome back. Just to kind of give a little background of what we're doing here, we are reading the Bible from the beginning to end. So from Genesis to Revelations.
Yep.
And we study separately. And then we come together on this couch and we discuss what we have at least gathered from our studies.
Yeah.
Sometimes we agree, sometimes we disagree.
Absolutely.
You know, you never know.
Yeah, so you're being welcomed into our first actual discussion with each other about this chapter. So
yes.
Yeah.
And if you have anything that you may agree on that we might have touched on, or if you disagree on something, I mean, feel free to share it below. And then also open your Bible, follow along with us so that, you know, you can be
caught up.
Yeah. So what were your thoughts on this chapter?
This was a good chapter for me. So I've always heard this story, at least a piece of it, the later end of the chapter, and I always found it hilarious.
Yeah.
So when I found out that this is what we were, I was excited to read it. And as I was reading, I actually gathered a good bit. I still think I have a little bit more studying to do on it, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts on it because
I have a lot.
I know how deep you go. So
yes, I am super excited about this chapter. I was really looking forward to getting to this one. Okay, so if this is your first time here, I have read Genesis, the book of Genesis before, but I just kind of like breezed through it late night, just kind of like reading it, not
just
really
read it
digging
to read
deep.
It.
Yeah, I was just reading to read it, so I didn't really dig deep into anything. But this time around, I'm actually sitting with it and praying about it and really just trying to gather understanding of what it is that God is trying to say here.
Yeah.
So I was really excited to get back to this one because this story stood out to me.
Yeah.
You know, especially with Jacob wrestling with this mysterious man
or angel or God
or whoever it is.
See,
you know,
this is where I said I want to sit with it a little longer.
No, I my mind is made up.
Yeah, because I literally I was like, okay, we start off the chapter. We call him an angel, right?
No.
Yeah, they do.
Mm-mm.
Jacob leaves and the angels of God met him.
Yeah, but this is not the same.
How you know?
I don't believe so.
Okay. So, but this is where I'm at.
Yes.
All right. So we have that. And then later on, they call him a man. And then Jacob says, I seen the face of God. So 3 different instances where we have different titles.
Yes.
This is going to be fun.
Yeah.
This is going to be fun.
Yes.
So I don't know if you want to get into it.
Yeah, let's get into it. Just to kind of go over where we left off at. We know that Jacob and Laban, which was his uncle, who he was working under for about 20 years, they just solved whatever issue that they had.
Yes. Resolved the beef.
Yes, they resolved that conflict. And then now Jacob is on his way to returning back to the land of Canaan, back to his home, right? It mentions that in order for him to get home, he has to pass this region named Seir, which is the land of Edom. That is where Esau, his brother, currently resides. That's where we left off at,
yes.
where his brother wanted to kill him 20 years ago, and clearly Jacob has not seen him, so he doesn't know what's happening, right? Yeah. Or how Esau feels.
I think that's funny. That must show like how serious Esau really was. For 20 years to go by and Jacob to still be that like afraid, they must really believe like, oh no, he will kill you.
Yeah, for them to send him away, yes.
Yeah.
They knew how serious Esau, like, I can't control him. And I'm talking about Rebecca and Isaac, right? Yeah. So, and that's their parents. For them to say, we need to send you away.
Yeah.
Okay, that says a lot about Esau. So, again, that's the last thing that Jacob knew of when he left his homeland, was that Esau wanted to kill him. So while en route to the homeland, right, he was met by some angels of God. When he was met by them, he said, this is God's camp, realizing, he wasn't alone. And he named it Mahanaim, which means two camps or double camps in Hebrew.
Yeah.
So when he was saying this, he was saying this was a divine camp and a human camp,
a fleshly camp.
Right, which because of God presence there, the angels were there, and then also this is clearly his camp, right? Yeah.
So did you take anything just from that?
Not really. What did you gather from that?
Well, I gather protection because of what's coming next.
Yeah.
So I gather now God is sending the angels to almost comfort him a little bit, like, all right,
you're not alone.
You're not alone now, right? Yeah. Because we just left the whole Laban situation. He's still clearly like, all right, I don't know what to expect. It's been 20 years.
Yeah.
And I think God sends these angels to kind of let him know, hey,
I am with you.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Because remember, back when he saw the ladder, he said, if you will be with me until I make it back home, I'll give a tenth. That was his vow.
Yeah.
So I think this is God showing, I'm still with you.
I'm with you.
And I want my pay. But
that might have been the case.
Hey, I want my pay.
We're totally joking, y'all. We don't know. We don't know. So Jacob starts working on this plan so that he can just kind of test the waters with Esau to figure out, okay,
what I got to deal with here.
Yeah, what I got to deal with. Like, have you forgiven me? Or can we make some type of peace here, right? So what he decides to do is he sent some messengers to Esau, and he wanted them to let Esau know that he was back in the land, that he was living with Laban, he has gained all this wealth, and he wanted to find some favor with Esau. When they would address Esau, they would name him, or they would call him Lord.
Yeah.
So Jacob's Lord, and then they would refer to Jacob as his servant.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you, why do you think that he named Esau Lord and himself a servant?
I really got to this conclusion through the fact that he told Esau he had all this wealth. So when I was reading, I'm like, why would he? Like, if you're worried somebody's going to kill you. But then as I was thinking about it, and as I did a little bit more studying, what I found is, all right, maybe he's telling him about the wealth because he doesn't want him to think he's coming for the inheritance. So if you think I'm already good, then hey, you can have it because I already made my wealth here.
Yeah.
And so now to go off your Lord and servant, I think that also then reinstates, hey, the inheritance is, I don't want to fight over this.
Yeah.
I don't want to fight over this. The inheritance is yours.
Yeah.
I am acknowledging that I am your servant. I am acknowledging that you can have the inheritance because I have earned all of this wealth. Here, I don't need it.
Yeah. I was thinking that he, in a way, was reversing the blessing just out of remorse a little bit. Just like he felt bad for what he did.
He was humbled.
Yeah.
He was humbled. I mean, we've come a long way with Jacob, I'll say.
Yeah.
And I think that was huge to see. I mean, as the chapters have been going on, we keep saying, oh, he's getting better and better and better. To me, this is really this is the peak to me so far of oh no, he's really godly now. Like, he's really living and walking the walk of, what, I mean, he wasn't Christian, but the walk of what we should be doing as Christians.
Yeah.
Right? Doing things with as humbly as we can.
Yeah.
Right? And that's how Jesus walked, and that's how he's walking.
Yeah, I really feel like he wanted to show Esau that he has now changed.
Yeah.
I'm no longer the trickster. I'm no longer deceiving out here.
I'm not trying to take what's yours.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I am. I think also, like, the Bible was just showing that he was transforming from Jacob to which he will eventually become Israel. So I think that's what it was just showing here.
Yeah.
Like, slowly but surely, we're getting there. We're preparing for that moment.
Yeah. And I was, as you were talking, I'm sorry, I know I kept, but I thought about it because I think as he's there, he is seeing firsthand how Esau must have felt with Laban. Right? Like he is literally living it out and like, oh man, this is what I did.
Yes,
right?
I do think that. I agree. I'm sorry. I do believe that he got a taste of his own medicine. He's like, oh no, like this was terrible. This was terrible. You know, I think it was that. And I also believe that he was scared. He was afraid. Not to believe. He said it, right? We know that he was afraid. But also what I thought about was he could have just been respecting the cultural norm and respecting the order of things. Because Esau was older, I think he might have just been respecting that too.
Which is a lesson he learned through Laban, right? With the Leah and Rachel. So 100% agree.
Yeah.
All right.
That's what I gathered from that part.
No disagreements there.
Look at us on one accord. Right. Okay. So when the messengers returned from Esau, they didn't have a message. The only thing that they were able to tell Jacob in that moment was that Esau was on his way with 400 men. And of course, Jacob is shaking his bones because he's like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I'm thinking, it's been 20 years.
Nah, he said, I'm coming for that.
I'm coming 400 men deep.
I'm coming for it. And what I think the whole wealth thing probably made him say, okay, he may have a thing of soldiers or a thing of an army. No, I'm coming with I'm coming with my guys.
Yeah. And for sure, Jacob is afraid that he is about to be attacked. And you know what came to my mind? Rebecca. So back in Genesis 27,
all right,
before Jacob left and she was asking Jacob to leave, she said, when he calms down and forgets what you have done to him, I will send for you to come back. Why should I lose both of you in one day? She never sent for him to come back. The only reason he left is because God told him to leave. So I can only imagine, like, in his mind, like, but my mom never came back for me.
And that may be why he was already prepared.
Yeah.
Why he was fearful, I'm saying. Because his mom never sent for him.
His mama never sent for him.
So that means she probably asking Esau every day, hey, you over this yet? And he like, nope, I'm still gonna kill him.
Literally.
Like, that's crazy.
Yes.
I didn't even, I didn't remember that. Yeah. But she showing up this that she was gonna send for him.
She said she was gonna send for him. And so Jacob's first response was, okay, I need to divide my group, this large group that he have, into two, right? Reason being, if Esau tried to attack one, that at least give the other side a chance to survive and get away, right? After he comes up with this plan, he goes before the Lord and reminds God in himself that, hey, God, you are the one that told me to leave.
Yep.
You're the one that told me to return back to my homeland, right? Yeah. He also acknowledges that he was very undeserving of God's unfailing love and faithfulness, because we know over the past 20 years, God has been with him. And I think he's realizing this as well. Yeah. He kind of lets God know that, hey, I'm afraid. I don't want Esau attacking my family. Yeah. You told me. You told me that you will multiply my descendants. And it would be too many to count. Just kind of wrap it up. When I read that part, it reminded me of when I spoke to you before about Abraham and Isaac, how when they were in the land of Canaan, and when the famine happened, they left and went to Egypt, and out of fear, right? And when they were in the land of Canaan, they were scared that the Pharaoh or Abimelech or whatever the case was, whatever the situation was.
Because I don't think Isaac.
Okay, not Isaac. Sorry. Yes. Yeah, so let's just say Abraham.
He went to Gerar.
Well, Isaac went to Gerar, and Abraham went to Egypt. Yeah. But when they were there, they were afraid, right? They were scared that they were going to be killed by the king, whoever that king was at the time. They were scared that they were going to be killed. So they lied on their wife and said that that was their sister. And remember, I told you, I said, like, I don't understand why they are being fearful, because God, why they afraid that they're going to die when God already told them that he was going to protect them and that he was going to multiply their descendants. If you die, then God's promises.
Especially if you didn't have no
if
kids.
You don't have any kids, because Abraham didn't have any kids at the time, and Isaac didn't either.
Yeah.
So if you die in this moment, then God's promise cannot be fulfilled. Remember, I said that.
Yeah.
So I thought it was very interesting to see Jacob kind of do the opposite, where he actually brings it before the Lord and say, hey, God, these are the promises you told me, versus Abraham and Isaac. They didn't approach God about this. They just went ahead and did something very deceitful and took things into their own hands. Versus Jacob, he is going before the Lord and saying, he is doing the opposite of the old him.
Yes.
Which was
to try to do it himself.
Exactly.
Be a trickster or whatever.
Be a trickster. But in this case, he was doing it the right way. So I think it's showing his growth here.
Absolutely.
And how his relationship is growing with God.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was very interesting. And another thing was the fact that he was reminding God of the promises. And I think this is the best way when we are feeling like Jacob and we're in those, weird positions, when we are faced with obstacles and things like that. I think it's best to go before the Lord and remind him of the promises. And even if we go in Isaiah 43:26, the Lord says, put me in remembrance, meaning remind me. Let us argue together, set forth your case that you may be proved right. And heaven is set up like a court system. And you have talked about this in the past.
Yeah.
It is set up like a court system where the Lord is the judge, and we are to come and present our case before the Lord based on the law, which is God's word. Where we're reminding him, like, hey, God, you said this. You said this in your word. And we know that it's set up like a court system because in Job 1:6, it says, one day the members of the heavenly court came to present themselves before the Lord. The accuser, Satan, came with them. So we know it's set up like a court system, right? And we'll see many prophets, and let me not say many, but we'll see some of the prophets throughout the Bible remind God of his words, like Moses and Daniel and Nathaniel. Oh, you saw that as well?
No, I didn't see that, but I do know that's a reoccurring theme.
Yes.
And I actually, funny enough, I knew you would come with scriptures. So I found a specific scripture and I was trying to see if you would touch it.
Okay.
But one of the scriptures I got from it was Numbers 23:19, which is, God is not a man that he should lie.
Yeah.
And so if you're reminding God, hey, you can't lie to me.
Yeah.
So if you promise me this, it gotta happen.
Yes.
It also, and this is the point you were rounding it off on, which is, hey, when we pray, we should look for scriptures to back it up.
Yes.
When we pray, we should, we can't, let's not just say, hey, God, you told me this.
Right.
Hey, God, this is one of your promises in the scripture. This is
Exactly.
one of your promises throughout the Bible.
Yes.
I think that helps a lot.
Yes, just to give an example, I think my favorite go-to is no weapon formed against me shall prosper.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because, it didn't say the weapons won't form. Right? They're going to form. It's just not going to prosper, right? So when it starts getting a little scary, I like to go before the Lord and say, hey, these weapons are for me. I just want to make sure they're not going to prosper.
See, so, I like, if God be with us, who could be against us? Yeah. When I'm praying, I usually say us because I'm talking about our family.
Right.
Here. But I love that one, right? For the same reason. It's pretty much a very similar. Yes. It's in the same breath.
And that's why I think it's so important to know some of the promises. I'm not saying you got to know it back and forth, right? But
yeah. Well, and that's, a lot of these prayers and a lot of these things. So number one, because I know there's somebody out there right now, and I know I was one of them, like, I can't remember all of this.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
But what happens is as you read in the Bible, you start to, dang, I really like that one.
Yeah.
And you write it down and you remember that verse.
Yes.
Or if you're just hanging out in just Christian content, like so, like this podcast, and there's going to be something, because most of us remember by association.
Yeah.
So there's going to be something that sticks out to you, and you'll be like, oh, that verse, okay, that's a good one, you
know.
And then when you're praying, or look it up, even if you have to just read it, if you
want
to read it verbatim, like before you pray, just read that verse.
Just read it, yeah,
and just remind God, hey,
in
I'm
Genesis 31.
Yeah, I'm trusting you here. I'm trusting you here. You said you was gonna do this. I'm trusting you on this.
And we know that God is the truth.
Yep.
The word is God.
Yeah.
So your word is the truth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, I'm gonna put the caveat out there. All right. God does work in mysterious ways.
He does.
And just because the promise, it may not go the way you want it to go. So like that's another thing that's like, all right, because I could tell you from our prayers, we have found our way to where we believe God was telling us he was taking us. Yeah. But it wasn't the way we thought we was going to get there. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's another good point to add out. Yeah. Especially for, I know we have a lot of people who comment who are new believers, or new to the faith. And I think that's another thing to really keep in mind. It may not be the exact plan you set out, but the end goal, in my experience, and in your experience too, we usually end up exactly where God told us it to be. Yeah. And so that's something to just take with you. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
So I'll point, I don't know if you...
No, go ahead.
So like, I love the fact that he said, I'm not worthy, right? Yeah. Like that I am not worthy is one of those acknowledgments. So I'm going back to, I was connecting it to the whole him calling Esau Lord. Yeah. He said, hey, God, I'm not worthy. I came from a cross with just a staff. Yes. And look what you've done for me. Yes. And I read that and it was like, man. Yes. When you because we're reading it kind of week by week. So it's easy to forget that that's where he was with nothing running from Esau. And he said, you did that, one of the big verses that people will say, I don't even know if it's a Bible verse, but people will say, you did not bring me this far to leave me. Yeah. Right? I know it was in one of the old songs when I was going to church as a kid. But yeah, like you did not bring me this far to leave me. And to me, that's exactly what he's saying. Yeah. Like, hey, I'm not worthy, but you did not bring me this far to leave me. Yeah. And so I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I love it. I love to see. The growth is just. It's amazing. It's amazing because we at first we was going hard on Jacob. Okay,
and he deserved it.
He was getting a slap on the back of his neck with us. Okay,
but when you right, you right, and when you wrong, you wrong.
That's it.
And now he right.
That's it. That's it. So we're going to give him his props. So following the prayer, Jacob ended up staying where he was for the night. And then he selected 550 animals. So this included goats, sheep, camels, cows, and donkeys that he wanted to give to Esau. So his plan was to assign these to different servants. And then he was going to have these servants go before him. Yeah. He wanted to keep some space between them, right? And this just showed me, I was like, okay, he's still
so
very
clever.
strategic.
He's so clever.
Very clever. Very clever. Smart. Very strategic. It's still there. It's still in him. Except this time he's not doing it to
spite.
Or to deceive. This was coming from a genuine place of just like...
I want to reconcile. Yeah. I want to reconcile with my brother here. Right. I don't want him to kill me, for one. Right. But also, you know what? You can have it.
Yes, I agree with you. And with the servants, he told them that when they do come in contact with Esau, and he questions them, that they were to refer to him as Jacob's Lord. And then also these gifts were for him from Jacob, which is his servant here, right? So he was definitely trying to create this repetition of gift giving to Esau. So by the time Esau gets to him,
butter him up a little bit.
He's just trying to butter him up and trying to, soften his heart a little bit so that by the time they get to him, he's probably not as angry. He's a little bit more forgiving, or just at least able to hear him out. Maybe, I don't know, but
even in the gift, I did notice that they did point out, like I want to say it was every animal. There was the male and the female. So not only was he giving him a flock, he was giving him the ability to make more wealth. Yeah. Right, and I think that was like, this is something coming from the heart. Because if just give them all the males, or most of the males, because you really don't need as many males as females.
Yeah.
So that was just something I found.
Yeah. So Jacob did go ahead and send them before him, and then he ended up staying the night at that camp.
Oh boy.
And then now we getting into it.
Yeah.
So Jacob rises up that night, and he packs up his family and everything he owns, and then he crosses over the Jabbok River, only to return to the other side by himself. And I feel like he wanted to return by himself so that he can spend that alone time with God, like in prayer, because we know that before, when he was in Bethel, like you mentioned before, his first encounter with God, he was by himself.
Yeah, he was alone.
And maybe because of the severity of the situation, he probably felt like, okay, I need to be able to hear from God. I need to be able to be in solitude so that I can truly connect with God, because I need assurance. I need to hear something, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because of what they're about to endure. And I will say, based on what we're seeing, in the next few verses, God was also waiting for him to be by himself as well. Yeah. Right?
You know what this part actually reminded me of was when Jesus sent the disciples on the river and he stayed behind to pray. I don't know why that came directly to my mind.
What came to my mind? It's so crazy that was something that you thought about, because I also thought about Jesus. Well, he had the disciples with him, but he went off to pray. And this is when he was saying he was praying with blood. He was sweating blood. I don't know if he was exactly sweating blood, but he was sweating like blood. Do you remember that?
Nope.
And then the disciples kept falling asleep.
Oh, okay.
And then
when
Jesus
he came
got
out
mad.
and said,
yes, this part reminded me of that moment, because clearly for them to keep falling asleep, this had to have been a prayer
long term
for a long time, right? So, and then for Jesus to be like in prayer, this was a very intense moment that he was wrestling with, because the next day was going to be his crucifixion. Yeah. So this part did remind me of that. So I thought it was interesting that was what came to your mind. So.
Yeah, it did. It did.
Yes. So it mentions that there was this mysterious man that came and started wrestling with Jacob until dawn began to break. So this was all night.
So
all night.
Now, this is where I'm curious. Do you think this is one of the angels from before?
I think this was Jesus, straight up. I think this was Jesus. Reason being, one, they mentioned that this mysterious man is God in human form. If we go based off of verse 28, where God himself says, because you have fought with God. In verse 30, Jacob himself.
I have seen God face to face.
I have seen God face to face. I bring up these verses all the time, but if this is your first time, I'm going to just go over it again, because.
What did Paul say?
No, I'm not.
This is not Paul?
No, this is John.
John, okay.
This is John. So in John 1:1, it says, in the beginning, the Word already existed. The Word was with God, and the Word was God. Yep. In John 1:14, it says, so the Word became human and made his home among us. In John 1:18, it says, no one has ever seen God, but the unique one who is himself. God is near to the Father's heart. He has revealed God to us.
Talking about Jesus here.
We're talking about Jesus.
For the new believers.
Right.
All of these are referring to Jesus.
Yes.
John was one of the disciples who walked with Jesus.
Yes. If John 1:18 is true, which we know God's word is true, right? Then that means no one has seen God the Father.
Yep.
But we know that Jesus have. And we're seeing here that Jesus was here from the beginning, right? Yeah. He has become human among us. It didn't say when. It just said that he has become human and made his home among us. I don't know how we can't believe in pre-incarnation when it comes to Jesus specifically. And in the same breath, believe that Jesus have died and has been dead for 3 days, rose his own self up after that, removed this big stone from the tomb, have walked around, and thousands of people have seen him, right? Also, rewind that back to the beginning of the New Testament, was born from a virgin mother, right?
Yeah.
We're seeing the impossible.
It's like a miracle nature with Jesus
with Jesus
yeah.
since the beginning of that story.
Yeah.
So I don't really know how it's really hard to believe that he was here before that in the Old Testament, throughout the Old Testament, because we're seeing unrealistic things that we just don't see today, right?
Yeah.
So honestly, this is God. Jesus is not just some normal person here. He is
Yeah.
God. So I can see him being here and doing the impossible, right?
Well, yeah, and to piggyback off of what you're saying, essentially he's moving outside of the rules of the flesh.
Right.
Which is exactly what he preaches about the whole time.
Yeah.
So it makes perfect sense.
It makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, we're bound by the rules of the flesh.
Right.
At this point.
Yeah.
Jesus is not.
Yeah. So I will say that Jacob, we know that Jacob, like I said, mentioned later that he was face to face with God. So if he was wrestling with this man, it was no way that he was wrestling with God the Father. So we know that, right? That's not even
because he couldn't even see his face.
Right. Couldn't even see his face. We know this is a man, so this is not the Holy Spirit, right? So let's leave another option, which will be Jesus, right?
Yep.
Now, some may say that this is the angel of the Lord, and I believe it's both, because I believe that the angel of the Lord and Jesus is the same.
Yeah, I think so.
I believe that is, when they're referring to the angel of the Lord, they're also referring to Jesus. Reason being, because like we mentioned before in our previous episodes, when the angel of the Lord speaks, it speaks with authority as if it is God, right? Yeah. As if he is God, right? And we know when we read the story of Hagar, she met God, right? And that's when she named him El Roy, right? Again, if John 1:18 is true, it was no way that she seen God the Father.
Yeah.
This would have had to be Jesus.
Yep.
Also, Abraham, when he had his encounter with the 3 visitors, one of them was the Lord. And I don't know if you remember, with Abraham, he bowed down to the Lord. I remember reading about this specifically in Revelations, because those who have been following us know that we read Revelations very early in our walk, right? And I remember reading this specifically in Revelations 22, where this was John speaking, because he's the one that wrote this prophecy here. And he said, I, John, am the one who heard and saw all these things. And when I heard and saw them, I fell down to worship at the feet of the angel who showed them to me. But he said, no, don't worship me. I am a servant of God, just like you and your brothers, the prophets, as well as all who obey what is written in this book. Worship only God. This was an angel speaking. Yeah. Saying, do not worship me. Yeah. But Abraham
he was allowed to worship. Which means that was God in the flesh.
That was God in the flesh. Yeah. And also, even down to, which is a very popular story, which is why I'm going to bring it up. In Daniel, we hear about King Nebuchadnezzar, where he witnessed this miraculous event, right? Where we had the 3 boys, which was
Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
They were in the fiery furnace.
Yep.
And in there was a 4th man that was with them in that fire. When the king saw this, he described him as like the son of gods here, right? So we know
Jesus be moving. He be present.
He's moving in and out of the Old Testament here. I do believe that was Jesus. That was that 4th man. But
he just didn't have the name Jesus yet.
He didn't have the name Jesus yet. And there's actually a term for this, which I didn't know before. But they call this, we'll call him Christophany, which is pre-incarnate
of Christ.
Appearances of Jesus Christ.
Wow.
Before in the Old Testament. I just want to point that out. But I do want to give a different alternative view. This is something that is widely viewed in the Jewish tradition, which of course they don't believe in Jesus. I mean, Christ, should I say. But they believe this was a guardian angel of Esau, where,
Okay.
So they believe that this was the guardian angel of Esau, representing this spiritual force behind Esau's lineage here. It's supposed to symbolize Jacob struggling with his past, his guilt in this upcoming
so it's more symbolic than physical.
More symbolic. That's how they view it. Yeah. And I do believe that too. I believe he was wrestling with that as well, his past and, what was about to happen. I do believe he was wrestling with that, but I strongly believe the person he was wrestling with was Jesus.
Yeah. And we're going to, I guess, I don't know if you're ready to get here, but had his hip not been broken, I would have thought this all was, he's praying and wrestling until daybreak.
Yeah.
But then the broken hip said, okay, this is actually physical.
Yes.
Here. And so that actually changed things when I was reading it.
Yes. And I think the biggest part
and
for
that's
me.
my favorite part. I think it's hilarious that he got his hip broke.
Yeah, I'm excited to get there too. I think the biggest reason why I'm very like my thoughts on this being Jesus is just very strong is because of the fact that Jacob said that he was face to face with God.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, like you said, this is clearly a physical and a spiritual encounter here. We know that Jacob is very desperate in this moment. He's very fearful because of what is about to happen. So I feel like, this was his moment of saying, like, I really need this blessing from you. I really need assurance. I really need to know that my family is going to be okay. Mm-hmm. I do think that this is symbolic of a very intense prayer. I think that maybe this is just like the story. I don't want to say the story, but just this is kind of like what God is showing what it's like to be in very intense prayer when going through like spiritual warfare, or when you're needing God to move on your behalf, or when you're stepping in the gap for someone else, needing God to move on their behalf. I really feel like this is what it's like to be in intense prayer where you're literally wrestling with God for a blessing, because he was just very persistent in this whole, like, not letting go. Like, he's like, I'm not letting go until you bless me. Yeah. So it just reminded me of that until he gets that breakthrough. Yeah.
I mean, the way I see it, I don't want to hear nobody tell me they're a prayer warrior unless they got their hip broke. That's
that part. That part. That's how you know.
That's how I know.
That's how
you ain't get your hip broke, don't come to me with it. Don't say it.
That part. You ain't walking with a limp. I don't want to hear it.
I don't want to hear it. That's what a real prayer warrior is. They walk around with a broken hip.
That part. So while wrestling, it seems like Jacob is physically evenly matched with God.
This is crazy.
But I don't think so. When I read that, I felt like it reminds me of how just literally I was watching you wrestle with the kids earlier today, right? I mean, even though you wasn't letting them win sometimes, but sometimes you let them win and make them feel like...
No participation trophies over here.
No, not all the time. Sometimes, but it's to boost their confidence, right? So that they feel like, okay, I can do something. You're pulling something out of them. Yeah. And I think in this moment, we know that God is all powerful here, right? I think he was pulling something out of Jacob, and it was his faith. It was his faith.
Like the longer he would have to wrestle, the stronger his faith would become.
I think that's what
what
this was about.
I like that. I would take it a little bit different, where I would see it as, I love the analogy of building up his confidence. Yeah. And then reminding him, I am God. Yeah. Broken hip. Yeah. You get what I'm trying to say? Yeah. Like, it's like a...
Well, I get what you're saying, but I think that...
And I have that not in my notes, by the way. I'm just listening to you
I think that's a good point. Yeah. I really do think that's a good point. I feel like when he did that, I think it was because Jacob was so persistent in really trying to get this blessing. I think what Jacob was trying to get was his breakthrough. And when he broke the hip, it was symbolizing Jacob finally getting his breakthrough.
Which we know, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, everything happens after the broken hip.
Right. So. Literally, right? So he broke his hip by removing the hip out of the socket here. Yeah. I thought it was interesting that God chose the hip. Well, why do you think he chose the hip?
So I'll be honest, doing my study, and I didn't think through it. But if I'm just spitballing here. So the hip is... All right. So we got the femur bone here. Yeah. All the strength, in my opinion, comes from not in my opinion. Most of your strength comes from your legs. Mm-hmm. So if you break a hip, you lose your strength. Yeah. So right after this, he names him Israel. Mm-hmm. To me, he is breaking Jacob. Yeah. To rebuild Israel. Mm. And Israel comes up with a limp. but this is
okay. It's not funny.
But I mean, he does. But if I'm spitball, like, that's, as I'm thinking through it, that would make sense to me. Yeah. Symbolically, like, he's breaking what Jacob was. Yeah. So Jacob's asking for this blessing, Mm-hmm. He's like, oh, you want this blessing?
Yeah, I'm going to have to break you.
Well, you can't be Jacob to get this blessing. Yes. Jacob cannot get this blessing. Yes. We already seen Jacob. We know who Jacob is. Yeah. Jacob doesn't get this. So that's what I would think.
Yes, I agree with you. It is one of the strongest parts of our body. Mm-hmm. It's very, very important because it's what allow us to run, walk, sit, stand, anything that requires mobility, we need our hips for that, right? Yeah. And if someone breaks their hip, one, it can be very painful, right? It's a painful surgery. It's just a painful experience in general, and almost always needs some type of support, right? Whether that's a walker, a cane, wheelchair, you're gonna need some type of assistance here. In Jacob's case, we'll see later that he had to limp. If you're limping, you're gonna have to lean, and I feel like God was saying you're no longer going to be able to support yourself in this new where I'm transitioning you into, right? Because he has been self-reliant before. Mm-hmm. He was deceitful. He was a trickster before, right? He was Jacob, right? Yeah. But I mean, granted, we've seen over these years that he was growing, he was maturing, right? Yeah. But and I think that God was preparing him for this moment right here, like I mentioned before. But God was saying, no, now you're gonna have to lean on me. Yeah. And not only that, like you said, he was going to have to break him, but he was going to have to get him to a place of weakness. Yeah. In our weakness is where we truly see the strength of God. And Paul actually talks about this in 2 Corinthians 12:9, where he says, each time he being Jesus, said, my grace is all you need. My power works best in weakness. So now I am glad to boast about my weaknesses so that the power of Christ can work through me. Yeah. And I feel like God was like, in order for me to really work my power through you, I have to get you to a place of weakness. Yeah. And just to back up your point about the breaking him, in order for me to get you from Jacob to Israel, I have to break you. Yeah. You have to be desperate. You got to be. Yes. And, you know, this is the tough part of being a Christian. You got to go through it. And most of us find Christ when we're going through it. Yeah. Let's just call it what it is. Yeah. Most of us are not, at least most of the stories I've heard, when most people get close to Christ. Yeah. It's when usually you're at that weak when moment. You're really at your lowest or you're going through something really, really tough. And that's when you kind of it's like that's when he reveals himself. That's what he reveals. Well, and we're not paying attention outside of that. That's we're true. Not even looking. Yeah. You know, and so like we'll call it Jacob, right? Yeah. Jacob was one. He wasn't even looking. Yeah. God, he wasn't until he was by himself. Until he was by himself and had nothing. He had absolutely nothing. Yep. Rock bottom, literally. And that's when God revealed himself to him. And now we're seeing again, all right, now I'm gonna break you. Yeah. And he broke him. Over these years, he allowed Jacob to go and get dragged by Laban. Because at any moment he could have took Jacob out of that situation. Absolutely. But he allowed him to go through that 20 years. To be a deal maker, you got to stand by the deals you make, right? But also, it was a what they call a pruning period. Yeah. Right, where God was sowing into Jacob during that time. He just didn't know it. Yeah. So even with Jacob having this broken hip, he still clung on to God. He refused to let go. Yeah. We know this because God said, and it said the man said, but we know this is God. He's saying, let me go, for the dawn is breaking. And Jacob said, I will not let go unless you bless me. And I think in this case, this blessing was going to be his new identity, right? Because God says to him, what is your name? And Jacob replied, Jacob, which we know his name means heel grabber or trickster, right? And he said, your name will no longer be Jacob. The man told him, from now on, you will be called Israel because you have fought with God and with the man you have won, which Israel means he struggles with God or God prevails. And we know that Jacob didn't prevail physically because he won some fight with God or he was as strong as God, but he won because he clung on to God. Yeah. He held on to God. He fought for that. And I do feel like that was what God was trying to bring out of him, not just the faith part, but also you're not going to steal your way to get this blessing. Yes. You're going to have to put in the spiritual work. You're going to have to do it the right way. Right. You're going to have to fight for this one. Yeah. That's a good one. Yes. That's a good point. Yeah. But this whole thing also reminds me of deliverance. When we hear of someone being delivered from their old ways, from their old life, from their old identity, when we give our life over to Christ. When we accept Christ, we get rid of those old ways and we are delivered and we receive Right. We should be delivered, and we gain a new identity. And we know this. Paul talks about this in 2 Corinthians 5:17, where he says, this means that anyone who belongs to Christ has become a new person. The old life is gone and a new life has begun.
Yeah.
So what we're seeing right now with Jacob is actually what we are to go through when we give our life over to Christ.
When we consider ourselves saved.
Yes. So this is the breaking that we should be going through. It don't always happen immediately.
Yep.
Sometimes it could take years, sometimes it could months.
And it's still gradual.
Yeah.
I think we have to remember that, especially when we talk about giving grace, like we always try to do, because the internet is not a nice place sometimes.
Yeah.
But just because someone gives their life to Christ and they are now delivered, doesn't mean that they just become a mature Christian.
Just perfect.
Yeah, like they're still growing, they're still pruning, they're still forming. There's learning like that needs to happen.
Yes. Yeah.
Because it's lifelong, really. So yeah, I agree with what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting point.
Thank you. So Jacob asked the man, what is his name? And basically the man asks, why do you want to know my name? Right?
What that got to do with you?
They got to do with you. And I really feel like it was because he's like, you know who I am. I think he didn't tell him because he knew, which Jacob did eventually later, because he said, I met God face to face.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have to say my name. You know who I am.
Yeah.
I really think it was one of those type. Why do you want to know? You know who I am.
So I love that point, because it makes me think of when Moses asked God, what should I tell him to call you? And I'm going based on what you're saying. Those people did not know God. So now God has to give him a name so that he could actually give a name to people who don't know God. But God said, I've been with you for 20 years. You know that those speckled and spotted, that wasn't you.
Yeah.
That was me. Yeah. I told you to do that.
Yeah.
I love that point that you made. I mean, I didn't think about that, but yeah, like, why I gotta tell you my name?
I know we didn't get into the story with the Israelites, but I wonder if they do know him at this point, for him to say, I am who I am.
I am. Yeah, I am.
Like, I wonder, it depends on what version you read. Okay. But yeah, I wonder if it's, you know who I am. I don't have to say who I am. I wonder. But I mean, we're not there yet.
Yeah, we're not there yet. That's a good point. We'll discuss that when we get there.
Yeah. Then the Lord blesses Jacob. And Jacob ended up naming that area Peniel, which means the face of God. For he said, I have seen God face to face, yet my life has been spared. Which also proves that he knew that God was much stronger than him, but let him.
Yeah, he let him know that God, he knew that God would have.
Yeah, if he wanted to.
Yeah, he spared him.
He spared him. He knows that.
Yeah, it was mercy, which we always talk about anyway. Yeah. We always talk about God having mercy. We know that. That's in his character.
Right, right. Yeah. So Jacob ended up leaving that area, and you mentioned he was walking with a limp, which obviously shows that this was spiritual and physical, right? And also this will be a lifelong reminder to Jacob of this transformation, or this transformative moment for him when he wrestled with God, right? Something he will always remember in order for him to receive this blessing. Yeah. And it will also remind him that he is no longer walking that old walk. Yeah. And now walking a new walk that will require him to lean on God.
I like that.
Through his weakness.
That was good. That was very good.
In his weakness.
So one of the things I took is like, all of this happens after he's alone. Yeah. Right? And what I see is like, nobody could do it for you. Yeah. You get what I'm trying to say? Like, no, like, this process is a individual process. Yes. I don't care that your mom pray for you, your grandma pray for you, your wife, your husband pray for you. This process is an individual process.
Between you and God.
Between you and God. Yes. Every person must accept God for themselves in order to be delivered or born again, right? We'll call it. Yeah. So that's the, like, as far as just wrapping it up, that was kind of my last point on it. Yeah. Yeah, you got to do this for yourself. Yeah. Yeah, and just having that moment of solitude with God it's just important. Yeah. It's important. Yeah, going to church is good. It is. It's good to congregate. It's good to have a community of believers around you. Yeah. But also that moment with God
in your closet or in wherever you're able to have that moment, that one-on-one moment with God, is very vital to your walk with him.
Yeah. And also be careful what you ask for. Jacob asked for
that blessing, and God walked away with a limp.
A limp and a new name.
A limp and a new name, yeah. But I'm sure it was all worth it to him.
Absolutely.
So I'm interested in seeing
how this story.
I really don't. I don't really remember.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of remember, but I don't remember Jacob just as a whole after he becomes Israel. So I'm interested in seeing the new Israel.
Yeah. And so the term Israel, what it means?
God prevails, or
who wrestle with God. I thought.
Yeah, it means he struggles with God. I don't know if you have anything else, but
he
struggles with God.
It made me think of the actual Israel as a people.
Yeah.
Throughout the entire Bible, they're struggling with God. We know a lot of idolizing, a lot of stuff going on that we're gonna get through, right? Because this is really the beginning of the Israel story.
Yes.
Which
and
I think it's pretty much the rest of the Bible.
Yeah, and I think it's, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I think it's also interesting that it means God prevails, because we will see that through Israel, he will prevail.
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right, so we thank you guys for joining us today.
Yes.
Feel free, if you like the content, to like, share, subscribe. Join us next week. We'll be going through Genesis chapter 33.
Yes.
Yeah, and so we look forward to seeing you.
Yes.
And with that being said,
until next time.